Hello, everyone, and welcome to this online gathering of SSUC, where we are spiritual seekers united in community, gathering from Southminster Steinhauer United Church on this November the 7th, 2021. We're continuing our series, Finding Our Footing, exploring the opportunities and the obstacles of change. As we begin this week of remembrance and carry the painful legacies of wars, we explore our theme today, a change of heart. We want to thank you for choosing to be with us today, and we hope that you are taking a quiet place in your home, in your heart, to be opened to deeper living as we receive the gifts of music and story and reflection. Wherever you are this day, we welcome you. Whoever you are, whatever age or stage, gender identity or sexual orientation, whatever beliefs you embrace or reject, whatever hunger fuels your spirituality, and from whatever geography you're joining us, and from whatever weather you're experiencing today, within and without, whether you are in your heart in a mainly sunny place, or you're experiencing an overcast heart with occasional sunny periods, or you're in the intermittent showers of grief, or a steady downpour of sadness. It's important we have this time together, and we're grateful that you've chosen to share it with us. Joining me in welcoming you today is my teammate Christopher New, and our musical ensemble with Katie at the piano, and Janice on clarinet, Noah on trombone, Anne on sax, Larry on drums, Catherine on bass guitar. And we're also appreciative to be joined by our song leaders today, Blair and Heidi, along with our tech team of Dara and Andrea, and Dawn and Charles here holding space for you and monitoring the live stream. We take this moment, knowing where we are in time, to consider where we are in place, to consider the place where your feet are planted, to honor the legacy of the land on which you find yourself, acknowledging its story, its first peoples. Some of us are calling home what are part of treaty lands, others on unceded territory. Those of us in the communities of Southminster Steinhauer United Church in Edmonton or Saskatoon honor the ancient lands of Cree and Métis people with whom we are partners in Treaty 6. Knowing our place in time, knowing where we are placed, we set aside this time and place as we light our candles with one another. I invite you to light yours in your home as we light ours here in this space. We light these candles where we are drawing breath in this moment, welcoming the light of a new day, welcoming the light of our ancestors, those who have given themselves with great sacrifice and intention and purpose to those coming after them, the generations who light our way, and the light of every ordinary gift of another day we've never seen before. In our search for peace and wholeness, in our search for nonviolence and compassion, we sing with one another our prayer for light.
gather, let them be face to face. Speak and be heard. Listen for understanding. Open the door to wisdom. Justice is hot as one. Let there be light. Let there be angry judgment. Perish the wars and hunger. Perish the fight for gain. Let there be light. Opening minds to wonder. Welcoming on each other. Leading to peace on earth.
We take a moment now to remember this week and to remember the pain and the tragedy of war. We remember the lives of those who were killed and who served and who continue to serve in the lifelong effort of peace, here and everywhere. Let's take a moment of silence. And into this silence, we place our voices to strengthen our intentions and to give words to our prayers. As I live every day, I want to be a channel for peace. May I bring love where there is hatred and healing where there is hurt, joy where there is sadness, and hope where there is fear. I pray that I may always try to understand and comfort other people, as well as seeking comfort and understanding from them. Wherever possible, may I choose to be a light in the darkness, a help in times of need, and a caring, honest friend. And may justice, kindness, and peace flow from my heart forever. Amen. In today's Time for All Ages, I want to share a story that encourages us in the hard work of peace and justice making. All of us have a part to play. And whether it's a big part or a small part, it doesn't matter. We all can say something when the moment calls for it. So I want to read to you a story called Say Something. It's by Peter H. Reynolds. The world needs your voice. Mine? Yes, yours. Go ahead. It doesn't need to be perfect as long as it's from your heart. You don't have to be loud. Powerful words can be a whisper. The world needs your voice. And perhaps I'll go to the next page instead of the previous one. Here it is. If you see someone lonely, Say something by just being there for them. If you see an empty canvas, say something with your brush. If you see an empty lot, say something by planting a seed and watching it bloom. If you see someone being hurt, say something by being brave. Hey, stop. If you see something beautiful, say something with a poem. Painted meadow splashed with rainbows. If you have a brilliant idea, say something with confidence. Eureka! If you want to show the world who you are, say something with style. Ta-da! If you're angry, say something to help people understand. You made me feel invisible. That really hurt. I'm really sorry. If you see an injustice, say something peacefully. Inspire others to do the same. Sometimes you'll say something and no one will be listening, but keep saying what is in your heart, and you will find someone who listens. Keep saying it, and you may be surprised to find the whole world listening. If you are grateful for being alive, quietly say something to the stars, to the universe. Some people find it easier to say something than others, but everyone has something to say. I hope something, I believe something, I wish something. Together we can do something. I'm ready to change the world. I imagine something. So, when you're ready, say something. Your voice can inspire, heal, and transform. Your voice can change the world. Are you ready to say something?
Make me a channel of deep peace. Where there is hatred, let me bring my love. Where there is injury, true healing love. And where there's doubt, a newfound faith. Oh, Spirit, grant that I may never see so much to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love with all my soul. Make me a channel of deep peace, where there's despair in life.
I'm going to read a poem by Judith Hill. It's entitled Wage Peace. Wage peace with your breath. Breathe in firemen and rubble. Breathe in firemen and rubble. Breathe out whole buildings and flocks of red-winged blackbirds. Breathe in terrorists and breathe out sleeping children and freshly mown fields. Breathe in confusion and breathe out maple trees. Breathe in the fallen and breathe out lifelong friendships intact. Wage peace with your listening, hearing sirens pray loud. Remember your tools, flower seeds, clothespins, clean rivers. Make soup. Play music. Memorize the words for thank you in 3 languages. Learn to knit and make a hat. Think of chaos as dancing raspberries. Imagine grief as the outbreath of beauty or the gesture of fish. Swim for the other side. Wage peace. Never has the world seemed so fresh and precious. Have a cup of tea and rejoice. Act as if armistice has already arrived. Celebrate today. Celebrate today. In these words of a contemporary poet, may we all find wisdom for our living.
Peace of the running wave to you, oh peace, deep peace, deep peace of the flowing air to you, oh peace, deep peace, oh peace of the quiet.
There's something about flying on an overcast day. You're sitting on the runway, and rain is streaking down the windows. And all around you, the day is damp and gray. The ceiling's low, the visibility's poor. But once you take off and start climbing through the gray, it gets lighter and lighter. And then you pierce the cloud cover and you find yourself cruising in a sea of blue sky, bathed in a stream of sunlight. And magically, the day is transformed. There are those among us in every time and place who never have to leave the ground to know that a different day is possible. There are those in every time and place who can imagine a different kind of power than the one that's dominating, a different kind of world than the one we're living in, a different set of values than the ones that currently have the floor, a different way of being human together. Our Jewish Christian tradition introduces us to two such visionaries born into Roman-occupied Palestine in the very first century. They were born under extremely overcast skies, in terrible, turbulent, troubled times. Each came into a violent world where peace was defined as victory through violence. And they came into their world imagining love in the place of hatred, sharing in the place of greed, nonviolent resistance in the place of precipitating force. Likely there were many others in that time, too, whose footprint is lost to us. But across our history, there have always been those like Jesus of Nazareth and John the Baptizer, his cousin, who inspire an alternative vision, a different way of being in relationship with one another than the violent path that claims the powers of their day. The writer from the first century we name Luke introduces John to us in this way. John went into all the region around the Jordan announcing a baptism of repentance. He brought to mind the voice of the earlier prophet Isaiah, who had written centuries before, the voice of one crying in the wilderness, "Prepare a way, make a straight path. Every valley shall be filled, and every mountain and hill shall be made low, and the crooked shall be made straight, and the rough ways made smooth. And all flesh shall see peace and wholeness." The crowds that came asked John, "What should we do?" In reply, he said to them, "Whoever has 2 coats must share with anyone who has none, and whoever has food must do likewise." Even tax collectors came to be baptized, and they asked him, "Teacher, what should we do?" And he said to them, "Collect no more than the amount prescribed for you." And soldiers also asked him, "And we, what should we do?" And he said to them, "Don't extort money from anyone by threats or false accusations, but be satisfied with your wages." Into this troubled time, A New Deal didn't come from the palace or from the temple. The New Deal came from the wilderness, from the middle of nowhere. And the one who offered this new vision was a most unlikely candidate. Unlike Mark and Matthew, who also introduce us to John, Luke doesn't bother telling us how eccentric John is, doesn't bother to tell us how radically he dressed, how strange his diet is. He just gets right down to telling us how to wage peace. John's audience was very familiar with their occupier's peace plan. They knew the Romans leveled hills and filled in valleys to build a road straight to Rome, a road for soldiers to travel, to suppress resistance, and invaders to trade. And John comes along to say it's time to change the landscape, but in another way. It's time to build a new road, but this public works project will lead somewhere other than into the heart of the empire. It's time to build a new road that creates a level playing field. It's time to bring the lowly valley dwellers to higher ground, and it's time to bring those living high on the hog down to earth. It's time to even out the terrain so that all can travel together securely. John's message is short, but it's not quite as simple as it first appears. He says it's time for a change. It's time to repent. It's time to turn around. It's time to take a different direction. It's time to find another way. Because violence doesn't bring peace. But equity and fairness sow the seeds of a non-violent peace, a peace that's rooted in justice and fairness, not in domination or control. A peace that's waged by simple acts of justice that are within the power of each of us, in our own sphere of living, and the power of those incremental acts of kindness, of hospitality, of gentleness, of openness, of vulnerability, can change the landscape. In that first century crowd, faces emerged to ask, so what do we need to do? Seeing the crowd, John says, some of you have come who have more than enough to eat. Some of you have more than enough to wear. You seem to be doing all right. To the comfortable, John's challenge is to create equity. There's some rebalancing to do. To make a new way, a new path requires reducing hills and raising plains. A different sky, a different landscape, a different world begins by addressing the most basic needs. No one needs two coats when someone doesn't have one. No one needs a second helping when someone didn't get a first. John's path to peace begins by creating a new economy, a new economic order. And other faces step out of the crowd, and the tax collectors of the day ask, well, what can we do? We're caught in a system. We're just doing what we have to do to get by in an aggressive, selfish society. But according to this desert father, living in peace is possible only when we give up greed. Only when we refuse to exploit a situation. When we refuse to exploit a market, an opportunity, the environment. When we turn around, change our heart, change our mind toward a relationship of reciprocity, of mutuality. when we deal in honesty to reestablish trust. The tax collector represents each of us when we're in a position to take advantage, in a position to benefit from our privilege. John's vision asks us to refuse the path of exploitation and choose the road that respects each other. And then soldiers emerge from the crowd and ask, but what about us? We're just following orders. And John's answer is, the path will be smoother and the path will be straighter when you decide that enough is enough. When you are content with what you have, with what you earn, with who you are, when you're enough, peace will be found in treating others the way you would choose to be treated, when you choose respect over threats. This voice from the first century is really an early adopter of Margaret Mead's School of Social Change. Never doubt that a group of loyal, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. There's something each of us can do, because global change begins somewhere with someone who's had a change of heart. A capacity to imagine blue sky beyond the gray. Someone who knows that the heart of change begins in their own heart. I've been struck by the stories of those who've had a change of heart regarding the safety and the efficacy of vaccines in this pandemic time. Those who were opposed and reluctant to be vaccinated against COVID, a common denominator in so many of the stories I've heard is that something challenged the heart. It wasn't so much arguments of the mind, but circumstances that claimed the heart. A father in a northern, remote British Columbia community, caring for his 3 young children at home while hour by hour, miles away, his pregnant wife is fighting for breath and fighting for life. Though the baby has now been delivered safely, his wife remains critically ill with no certainty that she will survive this virus. He's quick to say that it took an assault on his heart to bring about a change of his mind, to turn from misinformation and misgivings about government toward receiving and accepting good medical advice. His hope in sharing his story was that others might have a change of heart without experiencing the heartbreak his family is experiencing. John didn't tell his audience they had to change the world. John's word was for them in their desert, for who they were and where they lived. And his message was that they needed a change of heart, and that change lies within the heart. It begins in our own skin. It usually doesn't begin with a change of thinking. It begins with a heartache, or a heartbreak, or a heart warmed, or a heart stirred. Judith Hill, the poet Chris read earlier, invites her readers to wage peace in the aftermath of 9/11, while her country and ours waged war on terror. She invites us to wage peace with our listening, to remember our tools, flower seeds, clothespins, clean rivers. Wage peace. Raise up the low places and lower the high places. the 21st century poet and the first century prophet each imagine the blue beyond the gray in a very modest program for peace, to change the things that are within our power to change our own lifestyle, to do what is within the power of ordinary citizens to do, the incremental things each of us can do to live more consciously, to recognize the cost of our comforts, to live more simply and fairly that others can simply live, to refuse the road that exploits and buy and sell in ways that are more just. The wilderness voices are there to tell us we don't wait for our governments or our religions to build a new road. Together, we choose to change the landscape. One heart, one perspective, one lifestyle at a time.
a few invitations this morning for you. Want to invite you to join us for a post-gathering time where we will share the impact of what we've heard today and dive a little bit deeper into today's theme with each other and some questions that will engage us, as well as share some joys and concerns in our lives, a time of praying with each other and being able to connect us in that way with our community. Please join us by finding the link on our website or in your weekly e-messenger. Here is an announcement about our second annual cookie drive-through. We are receiving orders on a daily basis, and we ask that you support this important fundraiser for our church as we come to the close of our year. And there's two Cookie Walk people that have a little message for us. Here they are now, coming to you from our kitchen.
Here we are, baking cookies. Spumoni cookies.
What'd you do, Joe?
Spumoni cookies. You've got your Christmas green, your white, and your Christmas red.
Those are gorgeous.
They're going to be coming out of the oven soon.
And I think you said you made them up and kept them in the icebox or something?
That's right. You know, they come in a
Wow.
nice little slab, and you just slice them and get them ready to go.
And by doing it at the church, we're going to make 70 dozen.
We're going to make
All I
70
have to do
dozen.
is cut.
That's it. That's it.
And what do people have to do who watching this? Order cookies.
Order cookies, or if you really want to bake some cookies, we still
can-
have room.
Okay, go online. $15 a box. Never been better. Christmas cookies for all of your
Christmas
friends
cookies.
and family. And the proceeds support our wonderful community.
So the reminder there is to visit our website and to order some cookies. And if you can still contribute by baking a few more, then we are going to be in good shape. Thank you all for your contributions. Many of you have probably read in your e-messenger that we are anticipating and getting excited for a return to in-person gatherings, assuming the numbers in Alberta continue to cooperate. And here with more on that is our board chair, Jakob Kellerman. Here's a message from Jakob.
Good morning. The board has decided, subject to certain conditions, to resume our in-person Sunday spiritual gatherings starting on November the 28th. This will mean that our traditional Blue Christmas and Christmas Eve services should go ahead as usual. Details of these will be communicated later. The sole condition for reopening is that Alberta COVID-related ICU numbers drop below 90. Because we will initially be limiting attendance to 50 people, we do require you to reserve your spot either by phone or online starting on November the 12th. At our gathering, social distancing and mask wearing will obviously still be mandatory. On behalf of the board, I would like to thank you all for your support and patience with us while we're making these decisions. And we are looking forward to your smiling faces on November the 28th.
We also want to express our appreciation for all the ways that you continue to support SSUC, whether you donate online or you send in checks to our mailing address, or you have one of the people that has agreed to have automatic withdrawals from your bank account each and every month. We appreciate all of that. And know that your support helps us to carry on many, many of the things that we are known for, our generosity in supporting causes near and far, for our outreach support, and for all the ways that we continue to have our building open for those that need us the most through this time. So thank you for that support. We do appreciate that.
Each week as we change the light, we practice our facility with change. As we change the energy of the form of energy of the light from its flame to smoke, it's an opportunity for us to make a commitment to the change that needs to happen within us, the change in our own landscape, the change in our own perspective, the change in our own habits. It's also an opportunity for us to commit to breaking open our hearts, that they may be soft and pliable, that they may be changed by life as we participate in those incremental acts of kindness, compassion, gentleness, and love that make the world of difference and make the world different. So we go into this week wishing each of you peace and hope and health. And we look forward to being together again soon. Be well.